Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Allison. In today's video, I wanted to kind of talk about our process of deciding to switch to a home education system for our son. Just kind of tell our story, why we came to that decision, and a little bit of the process. And this is kind of a long story, as you can imagine. It kind of spans over a couple of years. So this is going to be part one, talking about the decision itself, and then I'll do a part two, talking a little bit more about the process of actually switching him from public school into a home education program. So let's just get into it in the hopes that I can keep this somewhat concise. I can tend to ramble on. So I made myself notes. If you see me looking down, I'm referencing that. I just don't want to turn into a big rambling long video. So the number one most important aspect of the decision of home education is, in my opinion, the child you're considering. And so for us, Ashton, his personality and his experiences with learning. To kind of give you a background of our situation, Ashton, from day one, has been a little ball of energy. He's just go, go, go. Even when he was a tiny infant sitting in one of those little bouncer chairs, he would get his legs going so that the chair was like woof, woof. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, he's my first, I don't know any different, but he's just, the point is, he's got so much energy, and it's just innate in him that he's got so much energy. And I think that's fantastic, albeit challenging at times. Some other aspects of his personality that I think kind of feed into this area of his life specifically, meaning his education, are the fact that he's very adventurous, he's very goofy, he'll do anything to get you to smile, he loves to put on a little show if he can, you know, use his energy to capture someone's attention and make them smile and laugh, then he's a happy kid. He's not really a people pleaser type. You know, he kind of has his own little will, and he knows what he likes and he knows what he doesn't like, and he's not super flexible about doing things that he isn't interested in just to make somebody else happy. And I could not love that more about him. I love it that he is not somebody who is easily pushed around. I think that personality trait will serve him well for years to come. But when talking about all of these fantastic aspects of his personality, when you put those into the context of a public school system that is a little more rigid in structure, not as flexible in the sense that they have the time or the energy to allow for lots of free expression. They just don't have it, and I get that, although I find it kind of disheartening that it is that way. At least that's what I found here where we are located, that's the case with our public schools. You know, they have great test scores, and the teachers themselves that I have come in contact with are fabulous and very willing to work with you. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's one teacher, 20 to 25 students, and there isn't a lot of time for a teacher to allow free expression in each one of those 20 to 25 students. There just isn't enough time in the day. So these really fun, loud, adventurous, energetic aspects of Ashton's personality were not valued or fostered in a public school classroom setting. And in fact, a lot of times he was getting in trouble and disciplined for things that I feel are normal childhood behavior. He wasn't able to understand when enough is enough of the energy outbursts, trying to get that laugh, feeling bored and frustrated, and therefore kind of having a little like energy outburst, which could be loud, could be him throwing his arms around and then he accidentally would hit the child next to him, which of course is not okay for somebody to get hurt. But as his mama bear, I would say in his defense, he's not doing it aggressively. He's just, got some energy that he needs to expel, and that he just isn't quite at an age or a consciousness level where he understands beforehand that he can't throw his arm out into someone, So it just, those are the kind of struggles we were having with him in public school. He was getting in trouble and disciplined for things that I felt were not really naughty or malicious behaviors on his part. And what ended up happening, in my opinion, is that he started feeling like, he couldn't quite hit the mark. He couldn't do it right. He wasn't able to harness this energy the way it seemed he needed to for this classroom setting. And so he's putting all this energy into trying to change his personality, that became his focus at school, as opposed to learning being the focus. So him just trying to behave properly in the classroom is where all of his energy was going, rather than into learning and exploring new things. And I am not down with that. At the end of the day, what it came down to for me is realizing that him being in a public school system, it was endangering his love for learning. He was just not loving it. And he is a naturally very curious, inquisitive child. He'll explore things, ask loads of questions. We're Googling things all the time to find things out. So I know that it's not him not being interested in learning. I really sincerely felt that it was simply the structure that was not right for him. And so after much deliberation, I had felt a pull towards home education for years now, but to be honest, was very scared of diving into it because I really had very little information on how to do that. I didn't know anybody who had done it, the way I imagined. And so I had no information to base my dive into it off of. And so that's when I started looking to YouTube channels, and I am forever grateful for the few channels that I have found that really gave me a lot of answers to my questions, helped me feel like it was doable. So that was very helpful. Anyway, so it had been on my heart to home educate for quite a few years. All through kindergarten last year, I contemplated it, and we even got to a point where we were discussing we would perhaps take him out after Christmas break and start that. But he always just, in kindergarten here, it was a partial day. It was only 3 hours, which I think is very reasonable, and smaller class with 2 teacher helpers. And so, he did okay in the structure of kindergarten. It wasn't until this year in first grade that all of these issues with the structure really came to a head, because the structure changed dramatically from kindergarten to first grade. It was an 8-hour day with only 2 breaks that were way too short in my opinion. And then on top of that, he was being disciplined by losing his breaks for having outbursts, which that is just trying to fight fire with fire. Take away a child's energy outlet, you're not going to get better behavior by doing that. So that's pretty much the first half of the story of why we came to this decision, or what finally pushed us to switch him from public school into a homeschooling situation. In the next video, part 2, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we moved forward with that switch. Once we made that decision, we definitely had to dive in with both feet and figure out what we were going to do to make it happen and make it work for us. So if you're interested to hear that part of the story, I'll link part 2 in the description box and you can continue following along there. Thank you for watching. I hope you find some value in hearing about our decision-making process for homeschooling our son. And if you did, I would love if you could share this and join me as a subscriber of our channel. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.